if there was ever anyone that you needed to identify with, to be a role model, or someone who you could be able to identify with, to see how it takes hard work, it takes commitment, it takes energy to be passionate about what you want to do, and find it to see what success really means, then you know Lord Dowdell. Lord,
thank you for
it's
that.
really a pleasure.
It's a pleasure.
I've
Thank
been
you.
in the trenches. You know, I saw you day to day, year to year, go out to the National Action Network conference, and how you had really visibly
Yes.
made it clear that it was necessary to emphasize the importance of technology in our community. And I'm very happy to know that you are now where you need to be to make sure that the answer is met. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you. It's a pleasure. I look
Yeah.
forward to it.
So we're broadcasting live on the Facebook, and I'm also recording it for later to put on my cable show.
Okay.
Let's talk a little bit about you. My whole interest is to do image profiles.
Okay.
And when I first met you, I believe it was in Bob Bowser's office, and you were talking about your son's book.
That's exactly right.
How is he doing?
Well, he's doing fine.
Okay.
He's in college. At the time that took place in Bob's office, he was 10, 11 years old, and had just written a book, The Kid That Helped Elect Barack Obama President.
Yeah.
And that book was inspired by his efforts to work with me when President Barack Obama was running to be president. And so
That's
he was
back
just
in
so,
2008.
yes, he was so inspired.
8 years.
Yes, and he was running through the communities and going up to homes that I would be a little reserved about going. And he was like, come on, Dad, let's go. We got to get Barack Obama elected.
Right.
You know, and we went to the suburban communities, and you had homes where you may had to walk 50 yards to get to the front door. And I'm saying, well, Kristen, maybe not this house yet. And he's like, come on, Dad, let's go. Let's get Barack Obama elected. So
Very
I think,
inspiring,
very inspiring. You know, so, but it was a challenge for me because, of course, as a young person out on the campaign trail, normally you don't see 10-year-olds or 11-year-olds or 12-year-olds. It's normally teens, 18, 19, and 20. So I had this fear that here I had my son out here, and he's only 10, 11 years old, campaigning. I had never, but God had his way, and as a result of that, inspired him to write a book about his experience to inspire other kids that they can make a difference. They can encourage their family and the adults in their community to really come out and participate in the electoral process, get people elected. And boy, did he make a big difference in inspiring kids. So I'm very grateful to God. I'm grateful to my son and his mom and all of us that worked hard for Barack Obama, including you.
Well, listen, it's really a pleasure to also be a part of that history. And not only to the aspect of, I'm sure that he's very proud of the inspiration that you have given to him.
Yes.
You have been able to parlay a lot of that knowledge and understanding to be able to develop ways in which you can do your outreach for people in the community. You have a long-standing history involved with that. Let's talk a little bit about your activity as an activist.
Sure. Well, I think it actually started when I was in high school. The first thought in my mind was that I wanted to be a lawyer because I felt that a lawyer was a quick way to go before the courts and in one decision change the lives of many people. And I thought that was a really fast way of just saying, this is an injustice. Let me file a complaint, take this to court and get this corrected. And if it ever went to the Supreme Court, that decision will change the whole landscape all around America.
In most cases, that's true.
Yeah, in most
so
cases.
it wasn't a feeble concept.
No, but as a high school person, it was kind of utopia. But by the same token, it was a motivation for me to see civilization evolve, and in particular, in our community, in our neighborhood, evolve to a much better place. And so, but then I got involved in activism in terms of moving on to college. I was the president of the Black Student Alliance at Rutgers University in Newark. Then I chaired an organization called the Black Experience, and that's where we actually took people in our organization, and we sent them into the community working with the school system to tutor young kids in math and science and, you know, the three
Oh, really?
R's.
Okay,
Yes.
yeah.
And I'd like to see some of that happening today with so many of our institutions of higher learning. They can take a lot of the students and send them into the community and work with low-income kids that may be falling behind academically.
Right.
And it's rewarding to do that. And then I think my activism then moved on to different community-based organizations, the Black Issues Convention. Eventually I became a board member, and in those issues for the Black Issues Convention, those things that impact the community. And from serving many years with that, moving on to working with the NAACP and becoming an advocacy person or a spokesperson for different political groups. And when I was in Somerset County, the Somerset Democratic Organization, I was always reflecting on what could be done legislatively to improve the community.
Right. When we think about the aspects of your longevity and in that milestone capacity that now you have been able to evolve to, and if you're tuning in, we're live on Facebook, and I'm here with Lord Dowdell, who has the opportunity to be able to develop minds in technology here at the National Action Network Technology.
NANWORK Tech World.
NANWORK Tech World.
Yes.
Okay, so with it being the vehicle that you were able to parlay with all that interest and to make sure that there is some method of community involvement with bringing technology, which is something that a lot of people don't have an interest in because they have no idea. We're consumers by nature.
It is true.
We're not builders.
Yes,
but we're losing out
Yes,
because we're
losing
not
out.
builders.
Yes.
Why the National Action Network?
Well, that's a very good question. Reverend Sharpton see the lack of technology in our community as a civil rights issue. Because when you think of it from a historical perspective, at one point we were in the agrarian age, and that's where agriculture and the horse, the mule, the donkey, you know, the plowing, and that's where the jobs were at that time. And then we moved on to the next phase, which was the industrial, the manufacturing, factories and all type of jobs coming out of manufacturing. And now we're in the digital age. So we transitioned from the agrarian to the industrial, and now we're in the digital age. Well, each of those ages prior to the digital age, that's where the jobs were. And now that we're in the digital age, that's where the jobs are as well. So we've transitioned to the digital age, and with our community, we have one foot on the manufacturing and industrial side, and the other foot moving closer to the digital age. And so we've got to work very, very hard to get our community into the digital age. And the reason why that's important, if you take voting as an example, voting will be moving online. There are states already in the United States, like California, that have already launched a major initiative to make voting online. So if our community don't have access to technology, it's not only a violation of their civil rights to be part and integrated into the American economy and society. After all, if we have a connected society and you have a group of people that's unconnected, then they're sitting on the wrong side of the digital revolution. And so from the National Action Network perspective, Reverend Sharpton see this as a civil rights issue, and it is indeed a civil rights issue, and it's not just him that feels that way. You have every organization that represent our community, which I think is a collaboration of about 35 of them that feel the exact same way, from the NAACP to the Urban League, of course, the National Action Network, and all of the groups that work under those three major organizations. So this is a very important point in time. And it's not just the digital divide with technology. We have a digital divide when it comes to the skills. So you can have the technology, but if you don't know how to use it, nobody's going to hire you. We have 2% of corporate America, for whether Twitter, Google, Facebook, etc. Only 1.5% to 2% of the workforce look like us. And so this is something that there's huge opportunities. We have Internet of Things, we have artificial intelligence, we have flying cars, we have cars that drive itself, we have robots and all of these things that will dominate the digital age. But we as a people are not really preparing ourselves for those jobs to build and be part of the Internet of Things. And so this is, and then on the academic side, because, you know, as you integrate technology into the curriculum, and as industry force the educational institutions in our country, from K through 12 in particular, to change the paradigm in terms of learning, where technology becomes a core part of the curriculum. If kids don't have the technology at home when they leave school, and many of the schools don't even have technology to be able to support the curriculum, to train our kids so that when they graduate from 12th grade, they are adequate in understanding what networking is, what computer science is, what switching and routing is. I am so proud that here, where we're speaking live on Facebook, there's a young man over there, and there's Kristen who wrote the book, the kid. This young man networked this whole room, all of this technology that you see in back of us. He put it together. So these are the kind of skill sets.
You gave an opportunity to young folk to do creative things.
Absolutely.
And use the technology that was brought into the existence.
Yes.
We argued a great deal about the lack of capital when it comes to Black entrepreneurs and the idea of satisfying a relationship, of building in the community. You've been able to be successful going in a different direction. You created a stack, a partnership. Let's talk a little bit about that partnership.
Sure. Well, actually, it came from volunteering. I transitioned out of the private sector, providing consultant services to companies like Intel, Lockheed Martin, ACS, which is now owned by Xerox and others. And I wanted to do work in the community. And so about 9 years ago, we got involved with the National Action Network as a volunteer. And then I quickly noticed, and one of the wonderful things about the National Action Network, and I'll talk about the partnership that has created this place, Nano Tech World, is that you're able to come there and be part of something that's action-oriented. And so, you know, at first when I went there, I had gone to a number of organizations, and I said, you know what? There's no action, the community is in need. But I saw real action. So coming from New Jersey, going to Harlem.
How about that?
Every Saturday morning.
In fact, there's a resentment because of that. I want to talk about that in a minute. It's
Right.
like, what are you doing, dude? Right. But, you know, it's interesting how you established the fact that the method of ensuring that this would materialize is based upon a mission. And that mission is to recognize the fact that our digital divide is basically a civil rights issue.
It is indeed.
And those are the concerns that we need to magnify.
Well, may I
Sure.
magnify that in a couple of ways further. You're so right. Health.
Yes.
We have so many, we're the only group that have an early death rate related to kidney disease, prostate cancer, high blood pressure, diabetes, cholesterol, you name it. You know, we're leading the pack. With technology, the medical institutions and doctors are able to give you the information that you need that can save your life. But if you don't have a computer in the home, you can't receive this information. So you're already at a disadvantage. I mean, we die faster than almost any race, but yet we don't have the technology. So telehealth is a major initiative that's taking place. And when you look in other communities, you'll see that the hospitals and the medical institutions, clinics, they have the ability to be able to reach seniors who are isolated, low-income moms who's raising 2 or 3 kids, the prenatal care that they need. The premature death in Essex County is approximately 5,000. Statewide is 5,500. And you see similar numbers in Hudson County, Passaic County, and Camden County. And those are heavily populated Black areas. But technology can play a key role in education, healthcare, and the revitalization of our community with jobs.
Okay. And thinking in terms of the opportunity for the progress of the future,
Yes.
giving people career-minded opportunities. It's not just learning how to put your name in and write a paper, or even in as much Google for an ailment that you would have. It is really something that's becoming a standard in our lifestyles.
Absolutely.
And we have noticed that because, our mayor has been working very effectively to create an area of opportunity where Wi-Fi is free.
Yes.
For a certain period of time. It's not all day, and it's very useful. So far right now it's in the downtown area. We hope that it will migrate into the communities. Let's talk a little bit about the migration into the communities. This is not going to sustain the outpouring of interest once it really gets out into the open.
Yes.
Is this the only facility?
For Newark Tech World, or one that's affiliated with the National Action Network, and I did forget to mention that part of my going there and the volunteer work that I did, one of the things that's great about the National Action Network, in particular Reverend Sharpton, he does this every Saturday. He asks you to join, and he asks if there's an idea that you have.
Really?
We want you to put it to action.
Wow.
And I kept hearing that, and then I said, you know what? Let me approach and see what I can do in technology. Let me form this committee. And the result of that are the things that I'm doing, not only here in Newark, and you asked the question, where else? We're moving the same kind of tech world in Jersey City. We just opened up a tech world in Plainfield,
Awesome.
city of Plainfield. We just looked this morning at a facility along with Derek Law, who's an outstanding engineer, has his own company, and that's helped us with this infrastructure here. He actually built out this infrastructure for us. And so we looked at a facility this morning. We're looking at East Orange, we're looking at Orange, and so I'm very happy about that. And this is all less than 1 year.
Right. So how's that vision really going to turn into jobs?
Well, yes. So what we do here, as an example, for Newark residents, they're able to come here and take Cisco certified training. So let me just give you an idea of the impact. So when you are Cisco certified here, first of all, there's no cost. So you don't have to worry about going into getting a student loan or defaulting on your loan and be forever saddled with that debt of thousands of dollars. So you come here, you get a Cisco training, you become Cisco certified. Once you pass the Cisco exam, you're now able to move into industry, depending on what certification you complete. But starting off at $54,000 day one, $58,000, $68,000, and with a BA degree or even a master's degree, if you come here for training in cybersecurity, you're qualified to make $118,000 a year starting. Well, for us, this is transformative because our job which is our ministry, is to empower Newark residents with the skills that they need in order to take advantage of the 500 some odd thousand jobs that industry cannot currently fill. They're dying to fill these positions. I don't care what the technology company is, they cannot fill these positions. So we're training people specifically for the jobs that are available right now. So we have NGIT co-located here in terms of programs. We're pretty soon putting Rutgers in place, and these are all IT programs. So the idea is that not only do we do Cisco and computer science and coding and STEAM and STEM, but we also have the institutions of higher learning to be part of our partner. They're in the city of Newark, and so what we've been able to do under the leadership of Pastor Bartley, who's my boss that I report to. Reverend Steffi Bartley. And he's with the National Action Network.
What church is he from?
He's from New Hope Memorial Baptist Church in Elizabeth, New Jersey.
Okay.
And with his leadership, we've been able to take an old Boys and Girls Club built in 1934, 27,000 square feet, been closed for 20 years, and to get it looking like this. We're sitting in one of the first state-of-the-art 21st century classrooms in the city of Newark, or any city. Rarely would you be able to walk into a classroom and see this 21st century setup. We have a monitor at the end of each desk that's completely operational by the students sitting at that desk or any of the desks. We have digital boards that you can annotate and write over. You can project anything that you want there.
And this is all the resources coming from?
This is the resources that was put together in partnership with the National Action Network, with Panasonic Corporation North America.
Okay.
All of the technology that you see here is Panasonic. So this is a Panasonic empowered facility.
That leads to think that it might be Toshiba and IBM.
Absolutely, absolutely. That is absolutely correct. And so with that partnership, we've been able to put this technology throughout this building. As you have seen, that wherever you walk in this building, you're going to see state-of-the-art technology. There's not a computer in here older than 4 or 5 months. There's no technology in here. And here we have an example of 3D printing that we've started.
Right.
So there are a number of courses where people can come here and be certified in IT skills that employers are looking for right now today that they can't fill. And so it's been a tremendous journey, and we're just starting it, but the impact has been very dynamic on the community.
Let's talk a little bit about it's not private funding, is it? It's public funding, or is there an exclusive method in which you can share how you're getting the money to do? I mean,
yes,
talking about people.
Sure, absolutely.
And what is the criteria? It's free.
Right.
Right? And for how long is that going to exist?
Right.
And who really is eligible?
Right.
I mean, could a person who's working still have the activity of coming in here and being a part of this?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So where do you have your funding from?
Yeah, sure. So the funding is through the partnership of the 3 entities that I just mentioned. But the Panasonic has been very generous. Of course, they're located here in the city of Newark, and they wanted to do something to impact and improve the lives of residents. And joining Mayor Ras Baraka, initiative to upskill Newark workers. So Mayor Baraka, who has been outstanding, and as a former lobbyist and people that had to work with mayors and county governments and state governments and federal agencies, it's unusual to find someone like him. And,
wow.
And the
well,
years,
you know why? I mean, come on.
He
walks and he talks.
Yeah, and he's,
I mean, you can't deny it.
He's committed to the city of Newark. He really wants to uplift, and he's making it's not only a want, he's actually putting it into action.
Okay.
So he's taking action steps. This could not happen in spite of Panasonic wanting to fund this initiative for multiple years. It would not have happened without the leadership of Mayor Ras Baraka.
And yourself. Come on, don't.
Well,
So much to
I'm
pull.
I'm just a soldier. I'm just a
putting
soldier.
it into play, it took a lot of work.
Well, you know how it is.
Time,
The field generals say, go take that
Please,
hill.
let me tell
You got to go take that hill.
But it is interesting, and if you are tuning in, I'm here with Lord Dowdell, who's really been exceptional in helping to create a dynamic opportunity for people in our communities. And we're not just talking about Newark now. You have an expansion that's going on.
That's right.
And that expansion is going to be just as credible as what we have here,
Right,
which will give you a tremendous opportunity to be able to build a lot of strong minds in our community. But I did allude to the fact that in most cases, now I've been told that the only time a person can actually come into your training facility and be a trainer, they would have to have the ultimate level of skill set. They have to be certified in this and dynamically involved in that. Are there any apprenticeships for individuals who are eligible and know the technology but don't have the certifications?
Okay, so there are some entrepreneurship programs where a person don't have to be an NJIT professor or a PhD student. But one of the things that we made, I would say, as a hallmark, as a marker for this institution is that we actually don't issue certificates of certification, that it must come from the institutions of higher learning, because an individual take that certificate and it says Nanook Tech World. Well, that may not mean as much as a certificate that says NJIT certified or Cisco certified
so you have
or
to
Microsoft
navigate
certified.
through the process.
Right, but there are other
where they have to go.
That's
right. A
right.
lot of times we don't know.
No, that is true.
And we don't really have to come here to get the investment of time. Right. We can always go, but a lot of times what your counseling does is help them know how they can become self-sufficient.
Absolutely.
And that's what's incredible about this whole concept.
Yes.
Now, I'm looking at it from the perspective, again, as you say, you've been able to build other areas that can be a concern to develop. What is the sustainability of it? I mean, is there a bottomless pit when it comes to the funding?
That's an excellent question, and it's a little bit out of my lane, but I could just tell you that under the leadership of Pastor Bartley, the relationship of the partnership that I mentioned to, the commitment was that this could not be a 3-year program, that it must be multi-year.
Yes.
So
it's awesome.
Yeah, it can't be a
it
can't be a 4-year program.
No,
it can't be a 5-year program.
That you guys stood up and realized that this has got to be multidimensional.
Multi-years.
It has to be multi-generational.
Yeah, that's right.
It can't just be something that sustains itself and then goes away after a certain period of time. In terms of that, is there a conflict with educational institutions that offer the same dynamics at a cost?
Well, it may be, but if it is a conflict, it's one that I think will resolve itself, because it would be very difficult for anyone to oppose the upskilling of Newark residents, especially if they don't have to pay for it. Because the bottom line basically is that this is about saving lives. Given a single mom who may be raising 3 kids, may be on public assistance now, that can transition out of that to a $68,000 a year job. That means that she can, or he, can promote stability in the family. The kids don't have to worry about living in poverty, because now you've taken the family out of poverty. There's economic revitalization in the community when we have people in the city of Newark moving into long-term careers that was currently on public assistance or unemployed, or having a job where they believe that they're underpaid or it's not sufficient for them to be able to survive. As an example, some of our young people are working in fast food restaurants.
Right, those are the quick job opportunities.
Yeah, we can take those young folks and they can still work for the fast food, but they can come here for training and they can transition out of that into a $54,000, $68,000 job.
Is there a possibility that we have a number of CBOs that need to have their infrastructure created in an institutionalized manner? Is it possible that it will help filter out people to bring our communities up as well?
Oh, absolutely. For instance, we have a very aggressive campaign through what we call our ambassadors. Those are young people that live in the city of Newark, working with the mayor's office. We have been able to identify them, and they are ambassadors, and they go out and they speak to community-based organizations. The purpose of them speaking to the community-based organizations is to tell the same story that I'm telling, but also to let those CBOs know that for their constituents that they serve in every level, whether it be a child to a senior, that there are programs here free of charge for them. We also have transportation that we can make available for those. Really? Yes, transportation for those that do not have. We want to remove the barriers so that a person can come from where they are to sky's the limit. So if you don't have transportation, we want to provide transportation. Okay. If you don't have food to eat, we want to provide that for you as well. Okay. Because we know that it's very challenging for the population that we're trying to impact. Sometimes, and you know, many people like this, they may have just $2. That's all they have today is $2.
But would they be able to take it back to that CBO? Would they be able to take it into our community businesses that it will help them grow?
You mean in terms of the training programs?
Well, no, I'm saying that an individual in the community will come here, get trained, get certified, have all the conditions that can be in relationship to help them to grow an establishment that's going to hire them. And it can't always be the technology basis.
Yes.
It can't always be the Panasonics or the Audibles.
Well, that is true. And so what we have to augment that, we have programs in 3D printing, web design, different type of entrepreneurship programs where people can come in and learn entrepreneurship skills. They also get hands-on technology.
Oh, okay. So individually,
yes,
they would have to be at least given some kind of an incentive to say, let's go up to that daycare center up the block and rewire it, or find a method of funding it because it's a community-based organization. We're still talking about empowerment.
Yes.
We're still talking about the idea of civil rights.
Right.
So when we look at it from that perspective, I would believe that there should be some method of wanting to incentivize the development of the inner community, the inner base that we're trying to develop jobs for.
Yeah, that is true. That is a long-range plan that I wouldn't say that I'm taking the lead on. I'm taking the lead on these kind of tech centers. But there are discussions that are going on right now about exactly those kind of things. As an example, this is a 10 gigabit site.
Okay.
We can make part of that 10 gigabit available to the community and to the businesses.
Okay.
So local organizations will be able to have free internet access. Now, the average internet speed in this community is 5 megabits.
Okay.
Based on Cablevision information and data. Right. That's not a guess on mine. So that's the data that's out there. Now, obviously, there are a few homes that are much faster, but 5 megabits, but we have 10 gigabits. So we can splice some of that off for the community and bring free internet access. Okay, so which means that they'll be able to tap into our network and be able to go on the internet free. Oh, wow. At a substantially faster speed.
We're talking really some serious future longevity.
Well, that's available now.
It's available now.
Oh,
so
yes.
It's not just an institution for training, it's a hub.
Well, his phase 2 is to move into a community hub. But again, that's a little bit more on those planners and leaders like Dr. Bartley and Reverend Sharpton and them and the partnership. Right.
But it's not just you coming in and opening up the doors and saying, come in and learn something. There is a strategy.
It is a strategy.
Building our communities and developing folk, not only just to have an opportunity to go and work for the big institutions, but to help build the communities that we live in. And that's very important because we often hear that all of the interest that's going on in terms of development is downtown.
And it's true.
And you are right here now.
Well, we had the opportunity to start Nan-Newark Tech World downtown.
Okay.
We had several beautiful sites.
Okay.
And our heart was that we need to be in the community.
Awesome.
And Pastor Bartley and Reverend Sharpton, they are so interested in going where everyone else refused to go.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and so it became.
And I think that does put a strain on you right now in terms of making scheduling available, like to the working class person. Someone works 9 to 5, they certainly can't come here now because your program runs 9 to 5. Will there be any opportunity for schedule, kind of flexibility?
Certainly. As an example, the Cisco training that we will launch in July, that would be in the evening.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah, so people
awesome. Right.
with the 9 to 5,
Yeah.
they'll be able to come here and start a class at 6 o'clock.
Okay.
And from 6 to 9, classes would be going on, actually from 5 to 9.
Right.
Yeah, so we do have, and also on the weekends.
Okay.
So on Saturdays as well, nothing on Sunday except for if a community organization would like to utilize the facility for a community meeting. We have partnerships with the Juvenile Justice Commission, the Newark Board of Education, with the Justice Institute, the State Troopers, the Commission for the Blind, Newark Thrive. I mean, I can go on and on.
Jobs, and more jobs. And, I really appreciate it.
Yes.
We touched up on a few things that
Yes.
definitely need to get out in the open for people to understand. I understand where you say your whole focus and priority is building.
Yeah.
And those ideas that I'm sharing with you that are substantive, we in the community really want to know.
Yes.
How do we become a part of it and what can we do to help?
You just called 973-494. Again, let me start over, 973-494-9303. And we're located at 400 Hawthorne Avenue in the great city of Newark. You don't have to have an appointment. You don't have to know anybody. You just walk through the door and we'll show you the facility.
Absolutely.
We have our ambassadors that give a tour, and we'll tell you about our courses, and we'll tell you how much we'd love for you to come and be a part of what we're doing. Absolutely. And it's open to the residents of the city of Newark. Pretty soon it would be Irvington, East Orange, and Orange, as I'm told. We're already starting in Jersey City, and we built our second tech wall in Plainfield already in less than a year.
Awesome. Well, it really is indeed a pleasure. And those of you who didn't know, now you know that there is another opportunity that is really focused on helping to develop our communities and our neighborhoods, spearheaded by Mr. Dowdell and other leadership that we have in our community that we have so unfairly criticized and ridiculed. It's time for us to get up and get in and make it happen. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Right?
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in. Great.
Awesome.